Hi, Jeremy Crow here. In this video I wanted to quickly go over the concept of a contacted cult. Hold on. What's that? Oh, sorry. A contacted order. Okay, so this is really about spiritual authority within an organization, an esoteric order. Now, I did a couple of videos before. I did one recently on how royalty or bishops have what people generally think of as the spiritual authority to grant a charter for a new order. And I did another video a long time ago about lineage within esoteric orders and how that concept is very prevalent in orders, that you need to have that lineage back to the founder. This, what I'm talking about here, a contacted order, is referring to the founding of an order through a non-physical entity, a spiritual being, in a sense. Often this would be what is referred to as an Ascended Master. A very popular one would be Saint Germain, also known as Prince Rakowski. Now, this is one of the Ascended Masters of the Seven Rays you may have heard of. And Prince Rakowski is the Ascended Master of the Seventh Ray, I think it is, or the Purple Ray. It's the Purple Ray, at least. And you have different organizations that claim that they were founded by the human founder being contacted by that entity and given the mandate to found the order, and that's the spiritual authority behind the founding of the order, is that vision. And that connection is supposed to be maintained. That somebody in the order, generally the leader, the current head of the order, is a person who is being contacted by that non-corporeal entity and given instructions and guidance on how the order should be operating. Now, you can also have this concept that there is a spiritual entity that is actually an artificial entity in the sense of an egregore. This is something that develops over time, however. It's not something that founds an order generally. It's something that develops and it becomes almost like that same connected figure, but it's not an initial connection. It's that you've built it up over time, that you've built it up almost like a battery, rather than being contacted by an existing entity. You're kind of creating one in a sense. Now, the Fraternitas Saturni, or the Brotherhood of Saturn, is an order that does this, and they have an egregore that they call Gotos, or Gotos, G-O-T-O-S, I believe it is, if my memory serves me. I'm not a member. That's one example. Now, another example, I was a part of an esoteric Freemasonic order called the AFHR. I'm just going to go right ahead and name it. And that stood for American Federation of Human Rights, which was a schismatic order that came from Le Droit Humain, which means the human right in French, and that's a Grand Orient of France originated Freemasonic order that generally allows men and women in the same lodge equally. And so ours was a schismatic group from that, and they basically schismed because they didn't want to allow atheists, and Le Droit Humain allows atheists. So anyways, when I was in that order, it turned out that they had this peculiar doctrine as part of this branch of Freemasonry. They had this concept of the head of all true Freemasons. And it was Prince Rakowski, aka Saint Germain, aka the Ascended Master of the Purple Ray. And there was a portrait of him that was sitting in the empty chair. There was a chair that wasn't occupied by the master of the lodge or the senior or junior wardens. There was another one on the other wall, and there was a portrait sitting in that chair of Saint Germain. And this concept was that it's not a true Masonic order or Masonic lodge if you didn't have that connection to Saint Germain, the head of all true Freemasons. And it's funny because the mainstream, male-only, the largest Masonic order that's out there derived from the, what is it, the United Grand Lodge of England, I think it's called. That mainstream one, the one that every small town in North America has a lodge, they don't even have that concept in their order of Masonry at all. So it's very peculiar. And if you asked the head of the order, the ritual head of the order, not the legal president, but the actual the most puissant, can't remember the title, it was so many years ago, but if you asked her if she was in contact periodically with the head of all true Freemasons or Prince Rakowski, she would just be like, you know, like kind of implying, yeah, but I don't want to come right out and say it, you know, or whatever. And so it struck me as manipulative, to be honest. It struck me as a control tactic, really. And especially because there was one point where I was discussing the mechanics of the order and how the hierarchy operated and the various different structural elements. And I was talking about, theoretically, if another country developed enough Blue Lodges, then they could form a Grand Lodge. And then if they formed enough higher level bodies, they could create a governing body for that. And so on, up to the point where you could have that highest level governing body with its own head for a separate country, instead of having the American one be the one for all of the countries. And she said, well, but if you did that, then you wouldn't have the person who's contacted. You wouldn't have me who's contacted directly to Prince Rakowski, you know, as the head. You'd have just some dude or lady, right? And so it was like a way to discourage independence or developing your own power structure. And it also discouraged voting for a different leader because, is that other leader contacted by Prince Rakowski? Well, no, we got to keep this one, obviously. And you know what? There was a lot of cult-like behavior in that order. And it included such things as when you'd go to... There's some classic cult-like things. So you'd go to the headquarters in Larkspur, Colorado, which was incredibly beautiful. Amazing. I've been there several times and spent a lot of time there, and it's so beautiful. Way up in the mountains, Larkspur, Colorado. But no meat is allowed. And that is so classic, is to deny people protein, to give people a low protein diet. So classic. And you were told, like, oh, it's dirty, filthy, you're going to put corpses in your body, or, you know, things like that. And so it's almost like demonizing the flesh in a sense as well. So there was a lot of things, and I could go on, but that's beyond the scope of this video. But that is one concept that you'll hear in esoteric orders about the contact with a non-corporeal entity that's maintained in order to maintain the spiritual authority or lifeblood or the soul of the order. And that if you lose that contact, then it just becomes a shell of its former self and becomes corrupted and such. So that's the video. Those are the points that I wanted to get across. I hope you enjoyed it. If you do, I do these types of videos all the time. So please subscribe to my channel and share this video with somebody that you think might be in one of these esoteric orders that is using coercive methods to try and maintain their leadership position. I don't know if that's what was going on, but there's some classic points that indicated that that might have been what was going on in the esoteric order that I was part of, that I was just describing. So until next time, everybody, stay lucid.